Hey, what's good, people? Mr. Zensphere back again, aka Zenobaba, aka Sludger, here with another RENOISE tutorial to share with you some sound design secret sauce. Today we're going to be looking at tempo synced LFOs, and these are synced to playback, so you can create rhythmic modulations, perhaps evolving modulations that are consistent with each playback and don't require you to draw automation. It's a nice handy little technique, and we'll get into how we accomplish it here. So first, let's just take a look at what's going on in the sound. The sound design is kind of irrelevant, but you can just kind of see what's going on here. We've got a couple copies of the same waveform. This is just a pulse waveform with a pulse harmonic added. I created this with Mark Bleck's Harmonio tool, which is an awesome tool. Definitely worth picking up, very reasonably priced. You can find that over on his Gumroad. Always happy to plug his stuff. His stuff is awesome, and I end up using it a lot. Very powerful waveform generators that can do a lot of cool things. So yeah, I've got two copies of this waveform, and one of them is raised up a couple octaves. And then if we go to our modulation section, they're all running through the same modulation set. Volume, we've just got to pluck. Nothing going on with the panning. Pitch, we've got this octave jump that's tempo synced to half a beat. And then we've got a little jitter coming from this random LFO at very low amplitude, which will kind of help to detune these waveforms with every key press. Creating some nice like chorus phasing effects and just keeping the sound more lively and alive. Then we've got a low pass filter and just kind of a nice slow pluck that doesn't go all the way down. And that's really all that's going on with the sound. So let's look at our effects chain here. And this is where, I kind of want to focus is these playback synced effects devices. So I've got some MIDI notes, entered into my pattern here. And you can see when I press play that we get this signal jump here, right? And this is due to the formula device, which is really kind of the crucial piece of kit for this technique. You'll notice that the formula field is actually empty, and we just have this y equals playing. And this is a very handy, very handy little thing, because every time we press play, it returns this value of 1. Then I have this routed to a Hydra, which I've renamed as sync split. And it's going to the Hydra input. All right, so you can see this input goes to 100%. And then we are chaining this to our LFOs and their reset trigger. And we want to create minimum and maximum values of 0 so that they start at their start point. Although you could, assign these values however you want. I believe it'll always just return, I think, the maximum value because this is at 100%. So wherever you want the LFO to start, you can put in your max field. So if we look at this, these LFOs are controlling a digital filter, the filter frequency cutoff. And actually one of the LFOs is going to the cutoff, and then the other LFO is going to the offset of this first LFO. So we get this kind of double sinus waveform, which would be possible to do with the formula device on its own, although I'm not sure if you'd be able to sync it to playback. I'm sure there's a way to do it. I'm not much of a coder, so this is how I work. It's a little more easily graspable for my feeble brain. So you can see every time we press play, it's going to jump back to its starting place. Right, both of these LFOs are going to jump back to their starting place every time we hit play or stop. And these frequencies here are important. You know, that's going to determine your rate. And this is, you know, kind of synchronous with the pattern. And then this one is, you know, slightly off, out of sync. But it's still going to be yielding a consistent result. So this, because this isn't synchronized with, you know, say 32 or 64 or 128 or 256, it's going to be out of phase with the pattern. So this will give it kind of a continual shifting, evolving return of value on this first LFO, which then affects our filter cutoff. Hope that makes sense. And then we've got the same sort of thing going on in this second doofer. We've got the formula device, y equals playing, going into the sync split input, and then our outputs are all keyed to a bunch of different LFOs and they're reset. And you can see here I've altered my start position to 64 on this LFO, and this LFO is just doing a sine wave at 16 lines per cycle with a slight offset. And this is going to my filter frequency on this multi-tap delay unit. And I think that's all. Oh no. So you can see also that this second LFO is going to the first LFO's amplitude. So it's changing how much of the signal is returned. So once again, we have this kind of like complex waveform that's regular in this case, because this is 16 lines per cycle, and then the second one is 64 lines per cycle. So it's changing in a consistent way through every pattern. It's repeating every pattern essentially. But say I were to, you know, we could dephase this if I did, you know, say 72 or something like that. Then it would shift from pattern to pattern. And if you wanted to really make sure it never lines up again, you kind of could choose an odd number or a prime number or something like that. But that's, you know, entirely up to you and the effects that you want to achieve. So that's really the gist of the technique. Of course, with the Hydra, you get 9 outputs. So you could have, you know, up to 9 LFOs synchronized from one instance of the formula device, which is, you know, that's plenty. And then you can just drop your effect devices into the doofer, or you can, you know, leave it open as just a chain of devices if that's how you prefer to work. I kind of like to try and keep things tidy at least a little bit. Yeah, maybe I'll put a version of this up on my Gumroad where you can grab it if you can't be bothered to, you know, make it yourself. But yeah, I just wanted to share this technique with you, and hoping to get back in the habit of making videos more regularly. Just been busy with life. Has been very full of good things, to be sure. But yeah, busy. All right. Keep being awesome. Make lots of music. We'll catch you next time. Peace. Damn, I need a new computer. Shit crackles too much.